Service continues, page 91. Continue on page 9. Service continues, page 99. We rise, page 101. You may be seated. Service continues to 104.
Shalom, service continues, middle of page 105.
Everybody okay? Yeah. I just want to take a moment before we transition into Shacharit, into Shofin Ad, which really marks the beginning of our morning service, to take a moment to root ourselves in song, in the kind of song that's going to weave our way throughout this morning. So we're going to sing the Sunrise Hymn. For those of you who were with us last night, and I see some familiar faces, and if you're joining us online and you were with us last night, good morning, Shalom. The Sunrise Nigun is a melody that was composed as the sun was rising on Shavuot. Who here has been to a Shavuot Tikkun, an evening of study to mark the beginning of wonderful? It's the early morning crowd at Shul. It's often the same crowd that likes to learn to the Shavuot. And in that final hour, as the sun was rising, and as we were learning Torah, and as we approached the receiving of Torah in that moment of revelation, a group of learners and I co-created this melody, and we've been singing it so far throughout Shabbat. So we'll sing it a bit to get ourselves into Shacharit. So I hope you'll join me.
The hearts of
Repetition of the Amidah can be found on page 115.
Amen.
Shalom, joy the Bible and the quick telling you.
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. May I ask you to join me in reading the Shabbat Psalm on page 72? Too embarrassed to sing in front of Deborah, I'm going to admit it. So that's true. Would you read the final 4 lines with me in Hebrew? Sadiq Hatamar, Eretz Ha'onis, Shetulim B'Beikah, V'Tatzru, V'Tarudu V'Se'ah, She'im V'Rachmani, V'Yit Yashar, Zuri V'Rachmani. For those reciting the wondrous Kaddish today, will you please rise and join me? Yigadal, Yigadash, Le'ah, Yibrach, Yirute, Yamut, Mahute, V'Chayefon, V'Chayefon, V'Chayef, V'Chayef, Yisrael, V'Adala, V'Tzman, Karim, V'Yimru, Yehesh, Le'ah, Yibarach, Yishtabach, Yipahar, Yitromam, Yitaseh, Yitadar, Yitaleh, Yitalah, Shmei, V'Disham, V'Ela, Mikol, Berchata, V'Shirata, Tushbachata, V'Nefemata, Da'amiram, V'Amah, V'Yibru. Amen. V'Hesh, Ramah, V'Raham, V'Shemaya, V'Chayim, Aleinu, V'Yakov, Yisrael, V'Yibru. Oseh Shalom, V'Raham, Shalom. So wonderful to be able to enjoy the spirit and soul of the Rosenberg on this weekend. We are at the very, it wasn't intended to be this way. We're at the very end of the period of saying Kaddish perfect, where we are at the Rosenberg down the next weekend. I don't want to interrupt the flow of the service, so we'll continue directly with the flow into the Torah service. But I just wanted to point out how blessings, memories are literally become. Torah service begins on page 139.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Adosho. Echad. Shalom.
don't usually speak before the reading, but today, when we come and nod our heads as the reading is taking place. The end of Shemot culminates in the recreation of Gan Eden through human malacha, human creative air. Where once there were real pomegranates, now they are embroidered. Where once garments of skin were made by God, now there are garments made by the people, to be worn by the Levites in service of space. It's remarkable to think that one can recreate Eden at all, recreate the ultimate lost home through wooden planks, hammered metals, curtains, poles, clasps, fabrics, and embroidery. But the Parsha states that it's not only possible but imperative. All the more so, this recreation is an act of faith, because each part is forged from what can be made from the remaining pieces of what was carried out of Egypt, and what can be acquired in the wilderness. As our thoughts and prayers weigh heavy with concern and fear for the people of Ukraine, we watch helplessly as Ukrainians embark on their own exodus. Their constructions, from schools and homes to the memorial at Gabi Yar, lie in ruins. They take with them whatever they can fit this suitcase: garments, jewelry, precious metals, and food. Tens of thousands, perhaps hundreds of thousands, are fleeing, gazing upon what they took for granted in this home. As we see in the parasha, the fragility of the Mishkan, clasps and rods and curtains. So we watch as the homes of Ukrainians and their fragility are destroyed. And as we culminate Shemot with an act of construction, we watch helpless at the reverse process of destruction. But the parasha holds out hope. Homes can be recreated. Love, fellowship, and community can be reconstructed from what refugees inherit. The portable Mishkan is testament to that. And our history is testament to that, as we have done so many times since the Exodus of Shemot. Shadowed by a complex and dark history, Ukraine today has a thriving Jewish community. Prior to World War II, there were 1.5 million Jews in Ukraine. Of course, so many murdered by the Nazis during the war, including the 34,000 massacre of Babi Yar. And today, the country is home to a diverse Jewish community, however, with nearly 200,000 eligible for Israeli citizenship under the country's law of return. There are also an estimated 10 to 15,000 Israelis living and working in Ukraine, many running businesses. And recent Ukrainian leaders have taken more steps to recognize their painful history and recently passed a law criminalizing anti-Semitism. And so let's look forward and hope as well. Over this past week, Jewish and the Israeli spirit of saving lives and supporting each other has shown as strongly as ever. Engaging in multiple life-saving efforts, whether by sheltering members of communities and local synagogues, sending medical personnel to offer humanitarian aid, or even jumping in to save citizens of its Arab neighbors. The Jewish Agency for Israel has opened 6 Aliyah processing centers across the Ukrainian border, and many Jewish organizations have stepped up, moving efforts to offer financial support. And the conservative movement, the Masorti movement, is active. We're doing the right thing. We're caring for Ukrainians who are fleeing. We know that within Ukraine, the situation is dire and desperate. The Jews know they're not alone. The Shalom Jewish Day School in Kharkiv has been transformed into a makeshift bomb shelter. The children, parents, and teachers are sheltering there in crowded conditions. Kiev has been under attack, of course, with Russian troops attacking, curfews in place. Many of our Masorti community members from Kiev have managed to find refuge with their community in Chernivtsi, close to the Romanian-Moldova borders, while others have managed to escape through the borders of neighboring countries. The situation in Odessa is difficult, and although some members of the Masorti community have been able to cross into Moldova, many others are stuck in the long lines of border crossings. In Chernivtsi, which is now referred to as our refugee camp, members of our communities, including Rabbi Ruthven and Stamo, and their family are preparing to leave in the next few days to Germany via Romania. We're in the process of making arrangements to get our community safely out as fast as we can. We've been working closely with the JDC in Europe to prepare for the evacuation from Tunisia, including transport, accommodation, food, medical supplies, and activities for children. Our Masorti conservative community in Berlin is already prepared to welcome Ukrainian refugees. Our communities across Europe are on standby. For example, in Prague, our communities in Israel are assisting in the absorption of refugees there. The Schechter Institute, for example, is putting together teams of therapists and translators to care not only for the physical needs of refugees, but their emotional needs. And so I'm asking for the Kavanah, as we are reading the verses of Torah coming alive, and they're talking about construction. Let us put a prayer forward into the words of Torah, inhabiting them. Think of how all Ukrainians and the Jewish Ukrainians that we are specifically reaching out to help make it to Israel and wish to do so. May they have a reconstruction of their homes and of their lives with what they brought with them, with the help of what they gathered in their wanderings in the wilderness from us and from others, and in the homes that we created. Shalom, shalom.
The reading can be found on page 567 of Eisheim Chumash. For those following in other texts, we're in chapter 39 of Shemot, beginning with verse 22.
בתוך הרימונים, אשלם עיר סבי, בתוך הרימונים, המון ורימון, אשלם עיר סבי, לשרת כאשר ציווה אדוני.
Okay. And in our new adapted mode, I'm going to ask you to return to your place, even though we know you wish to linger on the Torah, and we call up our thought listening. We're going to continue verse 27.
מעשה עורר, להרון לבניו, ואת המצנפת שש, ואת הרע מבעות שש, ואת מפלסי הבד, שש משזר, והאבנר שש מסע, ותחל באדמה בתולת שני, מעשירותיהם, כאשר ציווה אדוני משה, ויעשו את ציץ נזר הקודש הטהור, ויכתבו עליו מכתב צורכי חותם קודש לאדוני, ויתנו עליו לתכלת, לתת על המצנחת למעלה, כאשר ציווה אדוני משה, ותכף כל עבודה משתלם ויעשו בני ישראל ולא שציווה אדוני משה.
השלישי. תעמדו, ולשם, בצד שמואל, ולאל, ולמדבר השלישי. When the honor to have that seat up on the table. Ta'avod, Elisha, Bot, Victor Rosenberg. That's not what it's for. I think it's meant to be. Chapter 40.
Amen. Return to the Lord. May the foolish הראשון והחבטו, והשחקים ותשכן אוהב away. ושמת שם את ארון העדות ושמת על ארון את הפרופת, שבא את השולחן, וערכה את ערכו, וביצע את המנורה, ועלית את נרותיה, ונתת את מזבח הברכה לקטורת, לפני ארון העדות, ושמת את מסך הפתח המשכן, ונתת את מזבח העולה, לפני פתח המשכן אוהל מועד, ונתת את הכיור באוהל מועד ובין המזבח, ונתת שמיים, ושמת את הקצר סביב, ונתת מסך שער את הצר.
Our Kamishi, we call off our totality. You're feeling up on how you talk to chapter 40, verse 9, page 569.
משפטת משכן וכל אשר בו, וקידשת אותו וכל כליו, והיה קודש ומשפטת את מזבח העולה וכל כליו, וקידשת את המלוך והמזבח, והמזבח קודש קודשים, ומשפטת את הכיור ואת כנו, וקידשת אותו, ויקרבת את ארון לבניו, ותחת וממועד, ורצה אותם במים, ורשע את ארון את כבדי הקודש, ונשקת אותו, וקידשת אותו בכיבודי, ואת בניו תקריבי, ורשע אותם כותנות, ומשכת אותם, אשר משפט אלוהיהם, ותיבנו לי דתה, להיות להם משפטה, לכונת עולם קדותם, ויעש משה ככל ציווה אדוני אותו ונעשה. אשר נתנו לתורה
We call up our Shishi Aliyah as we continue with page 570, the time, chapter 40, verse 7. Raphael Babracha,
Ashiki. Baruch
בחודש הראשון, בשנה השנית באחד החודש, הוקם המשכן, ויקם משה את המשכן, וייתן את ארונו, וישם את ראשיו, וייתן את ברכיו, ויקם את עמידיו, ויפרוש את האוהל, ויפרוס את האוהל על המשכן, וישם את מקצת האוהל עליו מלמעלה כאשר ציווה אדוני משה, וייתן את העדות על הארון, וישם את הבדים על הארון, וייתן את הכפורת על הארון מלמעלה, ויבא את הארון אל המשכן, וישם את פרות המסך, ויעשה על ארון העדות כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה, וייתן את השולחן באור המועד על ירך המשכן צפונה מחוץ לפרוכת, ויערוך עליו ערך לחם לפני אדוני כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה, וישם את המנורה באור המועד נוכח השולחן על ירך המשכן נדבך, ויעל אמירות לפני אדוני כאשר ציווה אדוני את משה, וישם את מזבח הזהב באור המועד לפני הפרוכת, ויקטר עליו קטורת סמים כאשר ציווה אדוני.
Year 2013, we call up our number 7, but we know you want to stay up and close to the phone. Yeah, Amor. Joseph and Solomon. Ashki.
וישם את מסך הפתח במשכן, ואת מזבח העולה שם, פתח משכן אוהל מועד, ויעל עליו את העולה ואת המזבח, כאשר ציווה אדוני משה, וישם את הכיור בין אוהל מועד ובין המזבח, וייתן שמה מים לרחצה, ורחצו ממנו משה ואהרון בניו את ידיהם ואת רגליהם, בבואם אל אוהל מועד, ובקרבתם אל המזבח רחצו כאשר ציווה אדוני משה, ויקם את החצר סביב ומשכן למזבח, וייתן את מסך שער החצר, ויכל משה את המלאכה, ויחס הענן את אוהל מועד, וכבוד אדוני מלא את המשכן, ולא יכל משה לבוא אל המועד, כי שכן עליו הקטנן, וכבוד אדוני מלא את המשכן, ובהעלות הענן מעל המשכן, ייסעו בני ישראל בכל מעשיהם, ואם לא יעלה הענן ולא ייסעו עד יום גאולתו. כי ענן אדוני על המשכן יום, ענן אדוני על המשכן יומא, ואש יהיה לילה לעיני כל בית ישראל בכל מעשיהם. חזק ומתחזק.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam natan v'notnenu. Baruch atah Adonai, notei haTorah. Amen.
As Jeffrey returns to his seat, we're going to roll the scroll close temporarily for our blessings for Colleen. If you have any names to add, please, I invite you to do so in the normal way. And for those who are streaming the service, I invite you to say the names out loud. I may not repeat them, but they're certainly part and included in the prayer, and they are important. Following the Mishnah itself, I'm going to ask everyone, as has been our custom, on page 14, to sing together the fifth one.
ישבך אבותיך יצחק ויעקב, שרה בבקעה ויברך ותדבר החולים, וחתן עליה בת אלמירה. Michael Cohen, Julius Cohen, Mayan Shabbat, Alashah, Yeruchus, and Yisrael ben Aram Freiheit, Shavar Shmuel, Matei B'Shem Spencer, Rabbi ben Abavar Kalanam Office Webhub, Moshe ben Shoshana David, Jonathan Berfeld Lila, Stacy Simsiduk, and Andy Moshe British, and Lincoln Gaba, Masha Bobas, Silver, the word by the Hudi, and get about Shema Spencer, Shoshana Tovash, Herschel, Dishingala, and Ruth Badam, Sarah, and Shatrak, the Lebanon Parent, and the Matsuba Esther, Roman, Elisha, Mikael, Roman, and Siporha, Roshagos ben Razel, Rodika, Hadis Hafet Esther, Abraham ben Covid, Ashley Montgomery, Abraham ben Cher, Judith Pumpkin, Cornelius Barbara, Benjamin Yisrael ben Hanita, Dupinsky, Sia Sarah Bataram ben Aframa, Ezra Moshe ben Mira, Sam Warner, Edith Spoonover, Natalie Baruch Reg, and Haas, Sarivka Batkunash, Robin Yom, Peter Smetzer, Nazir Shoshoni, Shalom Zephyr Moshe, Kurt Kopik, Joseph ben Aram Sarah, Aram ben Faya, Leah ben Yitzhak Tzvi, Lord Tasser Modosh, Oleg Basharon, Mikhail Shnuri, Sharon Barkaya, Hitchcock, Shoshan ben Sari, Yitzhak ben Yosef ben Passos, Malcolm ben Miriam, Atmar ben Yaakov ben Leah, Rachel, Bataram ben Leah, Kimberly Fuller, Esther ben Bahari Rivka, Flores, Karen Tolson, Sarah Esther ben Shachar ben Shana Rud, Yaakov ben Harry Bedasi, Moshe ben Chaya Leah, Edward James Mills, Barbara Levin Bergman, Marlon Eiderman, Yitzhak ben Yosef Yehudi, Mayor ben Lopez, Golda, Bat Leah, Yehet.
Laura Harrison.
Emily,
Sharon.
Brother Ed,
Carl Morgan.
Yara Halston,
וכל הפליגים הקדושה, הקדוש ברוך הוא, ימלא רחמים עליהם, והחזיקם רבותם וישלח להם מהרה רפואה שלמה מן השמיים, רפואת הנפש ורפואת הגוף ותושבי ישראל, שבת ילדות, ברכה רבה לבוא, השתה ויגע בזמן קריב ונאמר אמן. Mordechai Eliezer, Ben Yitzchak Yaakov HaKohen, Makir return to verse 34, page 571.
ויחסנן כבוד אדוני במשכן, ולא יכול משה לבוא אור המועד, ישכם עליו לעיני, וכבוד אדוני במשכן, ובעלות הענן מעל המשכן, ייסעו בני ישראל בכל מסעיהם, ואם לא יעלה הענן, לא נסעו היום. לא ייסעו היום פעולתו, כי ענן אדוני על המשכן יומו, ואש תהיה לילה בו לעיני כל בית ישראל.
Call up our lifter and dresser in gender neutral terms. Yahoo, please rise. There's no we make We may be seated. The Haftarah from 1 Kings, the building of Solomon's Temple, can be found on page 580 of the Italian. It's also 1 Kings chapter 7, beginning on verse 51.
דוד אבי דיין אשר היה עם לבבך לבנות בית לשמי היטיבותה כי היה עם לבבך רק אתה לא תבנה הבית כי אם בנך היוצא מחלציך הוא יבנה הבית לשמי ויקם אדוני את דברו אשר דיבר בעקום תחת David Avi, Ve'eshev, Al Kisei Yisrael, Kasher Diber Adonai, Yevneh Habayit L'Shem Adonai, Elohei Yisrael, Va'asim Sham Makom La'aron, Asher Sham Berit Adonai, Asher Karat Avotenu, V'hotziotam Me'eret Mitzrayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol ha'amim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'oseh, ha'medaber u'mkayim, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu, v'ne'emanim devarecha, v'davarecha b'dvarecha, chol lo yashuv rekam, ki el-melech ne'eman v'rachaman atah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el ha'ne'eman b'chol devarav. Rafeim al Tzion ki beit chayenu v'la'alavat nefesh toshia b'mehera b'yameinu. Baruch atah Adonai, mesamech Tzion b'baneha. Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu b'Eliyahu hanavi avdecha, u'malchut beit David meshichecha b'mehera yavo v'yageh libenu. Al kiso lo yeshev zar v'lo yinchalu od acherim et kvodo. כי בשם קדשך נשבעת לו, שלא ייפן נרו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן דוד. על התורה ועל עובדה ועל נביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Peter comes forward to continue the service on page 148.
Yikul Porkan min Shemaya.
Yikul Porkan min Shemaya.
Vayishlach baracha v'hatzocha v'kol maseh yedeh im kol Yisrael amen v'no'amen.
Page 151.
Ashrei yoshvei betecha od yahalu kasela. Ashrei ha'am shekabalo. Ashrei ha'am shadonai Eloha. Tehila leDavid. Aromim kalahai hamelech. Vevarkashim kaleolam va'ed. V'kol yom barbecha. V'alashim kaleolam va'ed. Gadol Adonai u'mulam me'od. Deliktu lato en cheker. Hadak vod vodecha, v'divrei niflotecha asicha, v'zuzmotecha yomeru, v'tulatecha safrena, zecher of tukaya biu, v'tzidkatecha v'yiranenu, kanu Adonai Adonai, eret apayim v'yol chased, tav Adonai lakol, v'rachamav al kol masav, v'ducha Adonai kol maasecha, v'chasidecha yivarchucha, kevod malchutcha yomeru, u'gvuratecha yidaberu, v'dilim ne'adam gedorota, v'od adam malchuto, malchutcha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador, v'mech Adonai l'kol hanoflim, zokeh l'kol hakufim, Einecho elecha yisaberu, ve'ata noten lahem et oflam beito, poteach et yadecha, v'muftia lecho harason, tzadik Adonai b'chol derachav, v'chasid b'chol maasav, karov Adonai l'chol korav, v'chol asher yikrovu be'emet, Ritzon Yirei of Yaseh, ve'et Shavatam Yishma v'Yoshiem.
Shomer Adonai kol havav, ve'et kol nechim yashmi.
Tehilat Adonai yidaber pi, v'yivarech kol basar shem kodsho le'olam va'ed.
V'anachnu nivarech ya, me'ata v'yad olam. Hallelujah. Hallelu et Shem Adonai, ki yisra Shem Olam. Kol Adonai, kol Adonai be'ada, kol Adonai shover arazim, vayeshaber Adonai et arzei Adonai. Vayakidem omega lebanon etzion, yamol enreim. Shalom. We remain standing. Turn back to page 148 for the prayer for our country.
Our God and God of our ancestors, we ask your blessings for our country, for its government, for its leaders and advisors, and for all who exercise just and rightful authority. Teach them insights from your Torah that they may administer all affairs of state fairly, that peace and security, happiness and prosperity, justice and freedom may forever abide in our midst.
Creator of all flesh, bless all the inhabitants of our country with your spirit. May citizens of all races and creeds forge a common bond in true harmony, to banish hatred and bigotry, and to safeguard the ideals of free institutions that are the pride and glory of our country.
May this land, under your providence, be an influence for good throughout the world, uniting all people in peace and freedom, helping them to fulfill the vision of your prophet. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they experience war anymore. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. The prayer for the state of Israel. Amen.
Abinu Shabashamayim, rock and redeemer of the people of Israel, bless the state of Israel with its promise of redemption. Shield it with your love, spread over it the shelter of your peace. Guide its leaders and advisors with your light and your truth. Help them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who defend our holy land. Deliver them. Crown their efforts with triumph. Bless the land with peace and its inhabitants with lasting joy. And let us say,
Amen. The prayer for peace and the same Shalom was adapted and translated from the Hebrew of Rabbi Natan Steinhardt, born in 1780, died in 1845, who was from Nemirov in Ukraine and moved to Breslov to become the successor to Rabbi Nachman. We read it now.
May we see the day when war and bloodshed cease, when a great peace will embrace the whole world. For all who live on earth shall realize we have not come into being to hate or to destroy. We have come into being to praise, to labor, and to love.
Passionate God, bless the leaders of all nations with the power of God.
Fulfill the promise conveyed in Scripture. I will bring peace to the land, and you shall lie down, and no one shall terrify you.
I will rid the land of vicious beasts, and shall not be ravaged by war.
Let love and justice flow like a mighty stream. Let peace fill the earth as the waters fill the sea. And let us say, Amen.
We remain standing for one extra prayer today. First, from the Ukrainian poet Serhiy Zhadan, from his poetry series called Stones. We speak of the cities we lived in that went into night like ships into a winter sea. We speak of the cities that suddenly lost their ability to resist in front of our eyes, like a circus show where every acrobat dies, and so does each clown. Enchanted, you watch it, not turning away, and then suddenly, as you watch, you grow up. In this prayer from Rabbi David Seidenberg. May you tear out tyranny and despotism, ruin those who cheat and deceive, and break those who oppress the vulnerable. May the reign of the arrogant disappear from all lands. May those who attack democracies everywhere stumble and fail. May their plans be as naught. Destroy them, humble them, bring on their downfall soon and in our days. May you give to all peoples strength and will to pursue righteousness and uproot violence, and to seek peace as a unified force. Make healing, good life, and peace flourish throughout the world. May God protect Volodymyr Zelensky and let his country triumph over attack and imperialism. And let us say, Amen. We may be seated. It's my great honor to invite Deborah Sachs-Mintz today to deliver our drush.
Shabbat Shalom. Everyone can hear me okay? Wonderful, beautiful. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, Rabbi. It's such a absolute pleasure to be here this Shabbat with you. We kicked off this weekend, Thursday night, learning with a group of folks, many of whom I see in this room. And one of the texts we learned framed the place for the Shaliach Tzibor, the prayer leader, to be be'emtza ha'am, within the people. So it's a delight to be within this people, within this community. Thank you. And one of the great pleasures I experience as someone who visits communities around the country as a guest for Shabbat to explore prayer is that along with introducing some new melodies of my own, I have a chance of learning some of the ways that the melodies of your community show up in beautiful and unique ways. And it's been really delightful to hear your songs and your melodies and add my voice. But I'd like to begin by sharing a brief anecdote about one of my melodies. My son, whose name is Nadav, I know a familiar name for this community. My son Nadav is a master songwriter. At barely 3 years old, he wrote his first nigun, his first song. Yes, we were living in Jerusalem at the time, and he was deeply attuned to all of the new and exciting sounds around him. He took in every melody, every school bell, every car horn, every animal sound. For those of you who have spent time in Jerusalem, you know there are many, many sounds. And you name it, my Nadav was ready to process all of these sounds and turn them into music. One day he came home from his Israeli gan, his preschool, and he was singing this. Ay, 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 ay. Can you try that with me? Ay, 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 ay. Sounds good. I asked him, Nadav, what is that? And he said, it's this. Ay, 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 ay. One more time. Ay, 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 ay. So as we were singing it, I realized that it was a nigun. It was a nigun, a melody that he had created when combining all of the different sounds he was hearing, the sounds that punctuated his daily life. I added a few more notes, and Nigun Nadav was born. Yes, and it's now a song. If after Shabbat, you can go to my website, deborahsaxmintz.com, you can hear the full version, Nigun Nadav. But it all began with that little hook. Let's try that again together. Ay, 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 ay. Beautiful. So I held my Nadav close and we sang that over and over again. And knowing that we had co-created something beautiful together that fueled the closeness that we felt with both every embrace and every round of the song. Closeness. The Hebrew word for closeness is karov. The word whose three-letter shoresh, root, kuf resh vet, we see this word repeatedly in our texts in the form of the word korban, which we often translate as sacrifice. Excellent. And in fact, the Torah reading for Rosh Chodesh, which we read just a couple of days ago as we welcomed the month of Adar too, those verses from the book of Numbers examine in detail instructions for creating the sacrificial system that was at the core of the Israelite practice. And yet it becomes quite clear when we read this text that the English word sacrifice does not quite work in this context. We understand the meaning of the English word sacrifice to be something precious and dear to us that we give away for a greater good. But the korbanot, they did not really function that way. The korbanot were not precious possessions that the Israelites gave away. Rather, they were rituals designed to bring themselves karov, close to one another and to the divine. Specifically the Zevach Shlamim, or the Thanksgiving offering, is described as an elaborate meal that is prepared and then not given away to God, but rather enjoyed together by those who offer it. So this korban sounds less like a sacrifice and more like a communal meal, one that God is also invited to the table, where God is also welcome to be karov. And indeed, in this week's parasha, we somewhat complete this multi-week, multi-parasha narrative journey that teach of the many gifts, the beautiful artistic offerings brought to create the prayerful, holy atmosphere of the Mishkan, the tabernacle. The gifts, the offerings, the rituals, the korbanot that create a sense of being karov, being close. But is that not what we do when we come together in community? The physical act of gathering together for meals, for rituals, to support one another in times of sadness and joy, to sit together here in shul and pray and sing, this is to be keruvim, those who are close. And now more than ever, as we mark just about 2 years of needing to lean into physical distance, many of us still separated by the boundaries of this ongoing pandemic and this endemic, finding ways to experience that unique offering of closeness, of korban, is more vital and spiritually nourishing than ever. Praying and singing communally offers opportunities to be karov, not only to connect deeply to our own spiritual selves, but this act asks of us to really and truly listen to what we hear around us, as my little Nadav did. For the beauty of singing nigunim, of singing melodies together, lies not simply in the sound of the melodies and the voices, which, to be sure, are quite lovely. And I would venture to say this group is particularly sounding lovely today. But the real power is how the voices support and relate to one another. The singing that opens our minds and hearts and digs into the core of our souls requires of us to engage with one another with thought and care and support. Rabbi Pinchas of Koretz, who was a great 18th century Hasidic master, he explored communal singing in the context of 2 other models of relational engagement. So if you don't mind, I'm going to share his teaching now. He writes, "It is good for a person to snuggle with their small children, which actualizes the secret meaning of uniting soul to soul." He also said that sometimes when a person is studying but does not understand at all, when he or she speaks with a chavruta, with a study partner, all their difficulties are solved, and this is uniting soul to soul. And sometimes when a person sings, she cannot raise her voice, but then another comes to help and sings strongly, and this in turn gives the first person the ability to raise their own voice, and this is uniting soul to soul. This imagery is so deeply evocative of a uniquely communal and intrinsically intimate model of support. The depiction of a learner who is struggling to unlock the meaning of a text without the help of their chavruta, their study partner. The child that needs the warmth of their parents' embrace to sustain their good dreams. Or a shaliach tzibor, a prayer leader, who cannot sing alone, but needs the voices of the broader community in support. That is what it means to be karov. This recognition that we need one another to connect, that I too, as a teacher of Torah, gain deeper insight into the text when I sit down with a struggling student, that I, as a mother, sleep more deeply and dream more sweetly when I snuggle with my son, my Nadav, before I go to sleep. That I too am spiritually strengthened as the prayer leader when I raise my voice to help another sing, whether it be Nadav or a member of my community or a member of a community in which I'm privileged to be a guest. That I too need to draw near to be karov, to unite soul to soul. Singing soulfully and close together, like Nadav and I did that afternoon in Jerusalem, singing like we have been all through Shabbat here at this beautiful shul, and singing as we will again tonight. I do hope you'll join us for a Malava Malka and a little bit of Havdalah participatory singing. Singing this way, this is an act of korban, a way of giving of ourselves to connect to one another and to the divine. On this beautiful, sunny Michigan Shabbat, I encourage each and every one of us to consider the power communal song can have on our spiritual journeys. When we gather in person, when we gather virtually, and we use our voices with intention and thought, when we listen to those around us, and when we respond with our own voices to what we hear. This is one way of showing that we do indeed have a korban to offer. So I'd like to finish with one more midrash and with a request. The Jerusalem Talmud in Masechet Brachot teaches, Rav Pinchas, Rav Levi, and Rav Yochanan said in the name of Menachem Degalia, the one who passes before the ark, which is to say, leading the tefillah, do not say, Bo v'hitpalel, do not say to him, come and pray. Ella, rather say, Bo v'karev, come and draw near, come and draw close. Do not say Bo v'hitpalel, say Bo v'karev, come and draw close. We have become masterful at creating closeness in unprecedented circumstances these past 2 years. So I ask that as we now transition into davening the Musaf Amidah, I ask that we use our voices, whether we are in this room or online, whether we are near or far, whether you have chosen to sit close or you're sitting a bit further back. I ask that we use our voices and that we use our whole selves to create that sense of karov, that closeness. Bo v'karev, come and draw near. So we'll sing our way into the Musaf Chatzi Kaddish. We'll sing the Sunrise Nigun, which has been making its way throughout our davening together. So please join me, and we'll meet together for the Chatzi Kaddish. Iriram bayai, yadadadadaya, irirandaya, irirandaya, oh, irirandaya, yadadadadaya, irirandaya. Oh, please rise. Oh, Oh, page 155. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי הבא, ויעמד בחיותי וימליך מלכותי, וחייכון ויוחון וחיית וחבית ישראל, ועגלה בזמן קריב אמרו, אמן. יהי שמירה ומבורך, לעולם עלל ועד מיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתעטר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמתו קדושה, בריחו, לעילה מקובחתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. ברוך אתה אדוני, אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, אלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל, אלוהי לאה, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל היום, אומר חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסי אבות, המביא גאולה לבני העם, למען שמו ואהבה. מלך עוזר ופוקד ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן בעם ופוקד העם. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. נריצך ונקדישך פסוציח, שורפי קדש המקדישים שמך בקודש, ככתוב וידביעך, וכזה אל זה ואמר. קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלך כל הארץ, כבודו מלא עולם, אשר שואלים זה לזה, איה מקום כבודו למתם, ברוך יאמרו. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו, הוא יפן רחמים ויחונם, המייחדים שמו ערב בבוקר, בכל יום תמיד, פעמיים ביום. Shema Omi Madarirai Ayabo Dariramo Diriramo Ayabo Diriramo Ayabo Diriramo
Shema Yisrael, Adonai
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Hu Eloheinu Hu Avinu Hu Malkeinu Hu Moshiach Vehu Yashrienu Ve'acham Avsheni קודשך כתוב לאמור. נמלוך אדוני לעולם אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד קודלך, נצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושירוך אלוהינו מפינו ליבו של עמך. כי המלך הטוב וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום, איי 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 עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל. עושה שלום במרומה, הוא יעשה שלום, עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל. יעשה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל ואמרו אמן. דידי היה Page 181, Kaddish Shalom. יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה, בעלמא דירחי ותבן לחמחותי, בחייכון ובמכון ובחייתו בית ישראל, בעגלה בזמן קריב וימרו. יהי שמי רבה מבורך, לעלם עולם מעמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויצל שמו הקודשה. לעילא מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תשבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן מימה והימרו. תתגבר הצותן ואותן חייסו קדמה ובני בשמי והימרו. יהי שלמה רבה משמי וחיים עלינו וכל ישראל והימרו. עשה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל והימרו. אמן. הינק אלוהינו, הינק אדוננו, הינק מלכנו, הינק מושיענו, מיך אלוהינו, מיך אדוננו, מיך מלכנו, מיך מושיענו. נודה לאלוהינו, נודה לאדוננו, נודה למלכנו, נודה למושיענו. ברוך אלוהינו, ברוך אדוננו, ברוך מלכנו, ברוך מושיענו. אתה הוא אלוהינו, אתה הוא אדוננו, אתה הוא מלכנו, אתה הוא מושיענו. אתה הוא שכתירו אהותינו לפניך הפקד תורת השמים. תדידלי הדינדרו אלנני אלוהינו היה אלנני אלנינתה תדידבדני אלנני הדינדרו אלנני אלוהינו היה מבבו היה ניניננו. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה יוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות ולא עשמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם ולא עלינו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים נוסד הארץ ומושיע השמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו מכל בין מרומים ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר,
You may be seated except those reciting Mourner's Kaddish. Beth Israel congregation members, among others, on this Shabbat: Joan Schlesinger Chesler, David Darrow, Ed Field, Jacob Nathaniel Gluckman, Evelyn Levine, Gusty Margolin Zwick, Teresa Maslow, Fred Metter, Hyman Wyman, and Milton Weiss, as we continue to say Kaddish for Doris Doctor, Lorraine Nadelman, Elaine Stoller, Natalie Scher, Susan Feingold Schultz, Judith Cashton, Lorraine Sherman, Michael Adams, Leona Leon, Phyllis Werbel, Vanchin Lessing, Carol Feinerman, David Fallman, Bruce Thal, Carol Amster, and Gary Joseph Ullman. And here today, the very last Kaddish of the Kaddish period for Victor Rosenberg. Mourner's Kaddish 184. Yitgadal v'yikadash shmei Rabbah, v'yalma divrach kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'imru amen. Yehe shmei Rabbah mevarach ve'olam ulameh amaya. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudesha brichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'ama v'imru. Amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May their memories continue to bring blessings to this world. I know we've just stated in the Kaddish that our connection to those we love, our connection to God, goes beyond singing and goes beyond words of consolation. We know it must be hard for the Rosenberg family to be here on this weekend. The timing seemed meant to be, but also we hope you feel the closeness that we're grateful for, that Vic brought people together and Vic's parents brought people together, Ellis and his father, the cantor Alfred. And, you know, I thought it would just be wonderful to have kind of, if it's not the wrong thing to say, like a new kind of cantor. That Chazanut has always been in some ways continuation of bringing people together, bring people close, as Deborah has talked so eloquently about. And to hear, you know, from the Hadar Rising Song Institute, to have one of its great leaders here back in Ann Arbor, to take us forward with those connections. And so we're so grateful to continue the tradition of Cantor Alfred and to bring people together as we have for so many years for the Scholar in Residence weekend here at Beth Israel. For those who are streaming and who are still wondering about coming back, I encourage you to do your due diligence and to read the numbers that come out and to read the recommendations of the Washtenaw County Health Department, many of whose leaders are here in the sanctuary right now, and that you consider coming back in person. The experience of being in person together, as much as we've created amazing ways to be together otherwise, can't be substituted for. And so while we wanted to include everybody, and we will continue to do so through streaming, we want to encourage you to come back in person. This was a great way of doing so. It will continue this afternoon. Following eating together, we will have Deborah Sachs-Mintz leading our traditional Rosenberg Scholar in Residence weekend study session. And following services, it'll be a session called Singing Through the Sea, Lamenting at the River, Song Narratives in Tanakh. If you're streaming it, I want you to know that if my understanding is correctly, as usual, it's the same stream as we've been using for services, so we don't have to change it. And so if you're looking for the link, that would be it. And tonight we have a Malava Malka. I call it a Havdalah concert, and a Malava Malka starting at 7:30 p.m. here at Beth Israel Congregation. If you have friends who would like to come, please invite them. And again, it's designed to be done in person. So if you're at all considering or have done things together with people, I encourage you to make room for this and to come in person. We'll do our best to stream it, but it's intended as a live experience to be together for the Malava Malka with Deborah leading us as we escort Shabbat out, but keep the Ruach going with an evening of spiritual music. Tomorrow, the Green Team and Social Action Committee are meeting. On Monday, we have Talmud study with Rabbi Daberson. Next Monday, March 13th, we have a Living Megillah Walk with children's activities in County Farm Park. And then on Wednesday, March 16th at 6:30 p.m., Purim Spiel, followed by, and partial Megillah readings, family-friendly Megillah readings, followed by a traditional Megillah reading. And this year, we will be at Temple Beth Emet Sanctuary. And if we decide to be together again, we'll be here. But we'll start over there, and that is Wednesday, March 16th. On Saturday, March 19th, it'll be Women's Shabbat, which this year is bringing in the memories, the gratitude, the celebration of women on the Bima, because it is considered to be the 100th anniversary, the centenary of the bat mitzvah. You don't have to have had a bat mitzvah, however, to be helping to lead the service. And I won't be on the Bima. I'm looking forward to the Bima being full of other voices, as it was much done today. With that, I want to thank again Deborah Sachs-Mintz, who, do I understand correctly, is soon to be a conservative rabbi ordained at JTS. We have so many people in our congregations who have been here with their own children who have either gone through that process or are also part of the student body at JTS at this time. Some of whom are in Israel. And so we honor your upcoming ordination. And with that, I invite you up for Adon Olam, and then we'll have lunch, and then we'll continue with the learning. One more thing, I wanted to say, tonight for the Malava Malka, it will not be on Zoom. It will only be streamed on our YouTube channel for those who are coming by streaming, because it's a way we can maximize the musicality of the service. And so just want to let you know that.
So before we do Adon Olam, as I said, I love to visit community, share my own melodies. But for Adon Olam, I would love to hear, what is your favorite melody for Adon Olam? What is Beth Israel's melody? Someone start me off.
It's a different one every week.
Someone start me off with one that you hear.
Let's finish strong. Shabbat Shalom, Yishar Kocheh. We'll see you in the dining hall, in the social.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom. Or as we say here, shut up.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. Anyone